Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about the skills in Mass Effect Andromeda and which one of them you should use in order to create an overpowered build. As promised, this is the third part of the min-maxing guide, and in order to make the videos shorter, I decided to only analyze each tree at a time. So I'm going to start off with combat for today, and the first ability I'm going to go over here is the Omni Grenade. This is a very bursty damage dealing skill, so it does 1000 area effect damage and of course is powered by power cells. Now the problem that I have with this ability is the fact that you can't really remove the power cell necessity. There are other abilities which also use the same mechanic, and you have the choice to remove it and have a cooldown on it instead. And if you have cooldowns on abilities, then it's way simpler because you can remove those or you can bypass them with fusion mod of adrenaline. It's still a very good ability even on insanity, and depending on your encounters you will want to spec this differently. So if I were to play versus large groups of enemies in rank 4, I would go for Flak Grenade, which increases direct damage and damage radius. In rank 5 I would always pick the power cell capacity. The shrapnel is simply too weak. We don't really care about damage over time with this one, we just want the direct damage that it does. And of course in rank 6, if you went versus a group of enemies which more often than not have shields, you will of course pick the anti-shield perk. But if for example we went versus big guys like AROCs or even architects, then I would recommend the sticky grenade perk. This one makes it so that the grenade of course sticks to the target. They will basically receive the full damage into their face or whatever body part you're attaching it to. And in rank 6 I would go for damage versus armor. This is because most of the big enemies have high amounts of armor, so it's definitely going to be a very good perk versus that. Moving on to Concussive Shot. This is one of the abilities that really make the soldier feel like a soldier. You're basically shooting a big shot in the enemy's face, and it even has a mini-stun. On top of that, it acts as a combo detonator, and it's actually a very good one. So depending on the abilities you combine this with, you can potentially end up with some serious damage, and it's going to be good even on insanity. So all the perks over here that we will utilize will be the ones that increase the direct damage. In rank 4 I would pick recharge speed reduction. Not only will it reduce the recharge speed significantly, but I can completely bypass it with the fusion mod of adrenaline, which if you saw my previous video you would know that it is the best fusion mod in the game currently. You basically spam this all over the place and you will kill enemies very fast, so it's not going to be a big problem. I wouldn't even pick up radius honestly, because there's a better one, and that is the direct damage. The direct damage is way too high and the 2-meter radius is way too small to even affect something, especially since enemies prefer to split up or hide behind covers, and that is pretty annoying. On top of that, since it's a combo detonator, you're going to already have high area of effect damage because you're going to detonate the combos. In rank 6 you're going to pick something depending on the enemies you encounter the most. Most of the time that will be shields, but if you really want to fight that big old angry mean looking guy that has high amounts of armor, you're definitely going to need to pick the anti-armor perk. Moving on to the Barricade. This is something that I utilized on my sniper build, and it acts as a both defense and offense ability. The reason I'm saying that is because at rank 5 it buffs either your weapon damage and accuracy, either your skill damage and force, so it's definitely a very good ability. Other than that, you should pick in rank 4 the power cell capacity. Duration is something that you will completely need to bypass for the simple fact that if enemies concentrate on you, they will destroy your barricade way before its cooldown expires. So definitely pick up the power cell capacity. In rank 6 there are a couple of choices. The most surprising one is that you can use it as a combo primer. So if enemies get close to your barrier, they would be stunned momentarily and be primed for combo detonation, and if you used it for example with Concussive Shot, you would definitely be able to detonate them. The other perk, the regeneration one, is also a very good one, especially if you are planning to stay behind it for a long time and you don't find yourself surviving too much, or if for example you already have something to prime enemies for detonation. So the downsides of this skill is the fact that it's very static, and Mass Effect Andromeda is very much based on movement, way more than the previous installments of the game. So Barricade is going to be situational and it will depend on the scenario. Turbocharge is one of the best and one of my staples in my overpowered builds, quote unquote. unquote. The thing is that this ability provides a good amount of damage bonus and a good amount of fire rate, and of course on top of that it also has a good amount of duration. In rank 4 I would extend that by another 50%. The other choice, the recharge speed, isn't really needed because if you're going with Turbocharge you're definitely going to also pick bioconverters. Staying under this effect for a longer period of time will mean a lot more damage on the foes. Rank 5 I always go with bonus damage and gun force. Rank 6 supercharge all the way. The high rate of fire and the clip size bonus is definitely helpful, especially since you're using Bioconverter. So Tripmine is another interesting ability. You basically put a mine on the ground which does a tremendous amount of damage. It's 1350 at base damage without any other buffs from its passive or other combat passives. It also acts as a combo, either primer or detonation at level 6, so depending on your other abilities you can implement this in your build. It's definitely viable on Insanity, so it's just a matter of preference here, but what I have observed with groups of enemies is that they tend to follow my squad mates too much and they don't really follow me, so I can't really utilize the Tripmine. But if you're fighting like a big boss which is kind of static, you can just throw a Tripmine on it. If the enemy doesn't come at the Tripmine, make the Tripmine go at the enemy. Flak Cannon is one of the weaker abilities, I would say. It doesn't act as neither a combo detonator nor as a combo primer. Of course it uses power cells to be activated, so that is pretty annoying if you ask me. You can only spam it like 5 times at most. The damage is okay but not that great versus armors, even though you can increase it, and it's just something of a flavor. If you really want to go with it, but in this build it's simply not viable, especially on Insanity. The damage isn't really that high, and of course it's spreaded, so definitely takes away too much. And now we are done with the active abilities and we will move on to the passive ones. So you're going to want to pick the passives in the weapons that you're going to choose. So I'm going to go over all of them because they're definitely very similar and all of them have very good ranks. So starting off with the pistol, this is something that you would have to keep in mind. In rank 4, 5 and 6, most of the time picking the V shape, as in the letter V, would be the best result. So in rank 4 you would pick weapon weight, in rank 5 clip size, and in rank 6 the one that increases damage. There are a few exceptions from these. In pistols, both of the last ranks provide bonus damage, it's just that they work in different ways. So if you don't aim too much, I would pick the unassisted targeting perk, but if you found yourself aiming a lot with a pistol, then definitely go with augmented targeting assistance. In assault rifles there's a similar story, so rank 4 always go for rifle weight reduction, rifle clip size, and in rank 6 there's again a couple of choices over here. So shattered defenses is something that you would want to pick if you find yourself shooting the same enemy again and again, but the critical hits are definitely something you shouldn't really pass by. They provide some very good damage bonuses to weak points. It also increases the accuracy and stability. I would say critical hits definitely fits more scenarios than the shattered defenses. Shotguns, same story, weight reduction, clip size increase, and in rank 6, 90% of the time I go with the shotgun damage and force perk. But the melee synergy is again very good. Now, in my melee Vanguard build, which I suggest you go ahead and see if you didn't, I have said that we're basing the damage on melee a lot, and I also used a shotgun with that just for this perk right here. This one increases melee damage by 40% if you shoot an enemy with the shotgun. So I was effectively using a shotgun to buff up my melee damage, and it also works the other way around. Sniper rifles, we're picking again rifle weight reduction, clip size increase, and then rank 6, this is the only weapon in which I recommend you exclusively to go with damage and force. The killing spree isn't really that needed. It gives you some rate of fire increase and some stability, but most of the good sniper rifles already have good stability, and the rate of fire can be increased, for example, with Turbocharge, which also boosts your damage. Combat Fitness is almost never unutilized in any of my builds. I always pick this one because there are so many good passives here. So it increases the shields, it increases increases the HP, the loadout size if you want to carry more weapons. In rank 4 I always go with regeneration. I just don't find the buff to consumables good because the consumables themselves aren't good. Rank 5 I always pick up the heavy lifting perk because it gives me another 20% weapon clip size, and all in all I will increase the weapon clip size enough for me to not care about bioconverters, and this is the secret of my builds if you want to go that route. In rank 6 there are two very good choices. Normally I go with hold the line because of the fact that I'm always using builds that are very close to the enemy and tend to be quite reckless, so this one saves me in many situations. The 200 resistance is a lot. In the trenches is another very good perk, but it depends on the situation. So if you find yourself sitting behind cover a lot, then you can also consider in the trenches. This one ties in very well with the barricade perk, as a matter of fact. Combat tools, there are some good perks over here, and depending on them you would go up to rank 6 or up to rank 4 accordingly. So the first few ranks of course buff up the combat and the melee damage, but rank 4 is something that I always went for. The additional 100 damage resistance while evading is definitely good. If we utilize combat fitness 2 and the additional 200 resistance perk from that one, we will have 300 damage resistance while evading and having low HP, so that definitely increases your survivability a lot more. And most of the time in combat tools, here is where I stop, in rank 4, but I'm going to go over rank 5 and 6 as well. So if you're planning on a combat exclusive build which also uses combat detonation, then the detonator perk over here is definitely a very good choice. 30% combat detonator increase is just too good to pass, and martial arts is something that I really want to go over right here. If you're planning a melee Vanguard, then martial arts is a must-have. The damage bonus that you receive for your melee damage is absolutely insane. So what this does is that every time you kill an enemy or hit an enemy, your melee damage will receive a bonus, and it increases without any cap. So now that we are done with that, I'm going to analyze the soldier profile a little bit. So the soldier profile is the go-to damage dealing profile in the game. It increases your weapon damage the most, it also buffs your accuracy, the clip size is also increased, and of course there are several ranks up to rank 6. Keep in mind that for rank 6 you will need 232 points invested in combat, but my favorite over here is the marksman focus. This one escalates your damage bonus every target you kill. Another alternative for weapon damage would be the explorer, but with this one you would need to invest points in all the trees, so in combat attack and biotics. The difference in weapon damage at maximum level between these two is 5%. So if you, for example, you find yourself not surviving as long as you would want to with the soldier profile, you can pick explorer instead and not lose too much damage. And that was my analysis of the combat profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found it informative. I'm going to move on to the next ones. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you liked this video, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.